Hi.
Hey,
Yeah.
and I can hear you well.
Yay. Wow, this is amazing.
How is life over there in New Zealand?
It's good. We're in level 2 lockdown, so it's good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Is it good? You know, it's went into level 4 lockdown really quickly in the middle of March. We were given a couple of days to go in, so there was quite a lot of shock. And it was all quite fast. And then we went into level 3. We stayed in there for 2 months. It sounds like jail. It kind of was, actually. And then we came back into level 3 2 weeks ago, and we've just come into level 2. So yeah, it's quite an adjustment, actually. It's quite an adjustment. I'm
Yeah.
sure that everyone,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure that everyone worldwide is feeling this on so many different levels, It's just, yeah, you know,
Yeah. Um,
isolate.
yeah. I just got our topic pinned. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a rough time for many, and I think I saw somewhere online your prime minister addressing your people, and I was very impressed by her wisdom and the warmth, and I think she had a really calming feeling about her.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting being in New Zealand and then speaking to you and then speaking to my friends in America and London, and yeah, everyone's watching her.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
yeah.
She's impressive. Yeah. She felt she felt a little bit like her spiritual queen.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and also the fact that she's had a baby, so she has that. When did she have her baby? In the last couple of years, and so she's that maternal instinct. You can still, yeah. So there's quite a lot of, you get that mothering feel as well as everything else. But yeah. So no, it's interesting here in lockdown. I just school goes back tomorrow, and quite a lot is, it's kind of changing quite quickly. So yeah, I'm just sort of keep coming back to myself and going, okay, the government's saying one thing, but where am I in all of this? And I
Yes.
mean, and that goes for where you are and for where we all are, hey, in the world. It's like our own, taking care of our own selves.
Yeah. So kind of like connecting to our inner world and
Yeah,
figuring out how to deal with the outer world at the same time
yeah.
that things are changing.
Yeah, changing all the time. And then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that during this live, about what that's like, being in isolation and then having to
Yeah.
suddenly deal with all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
um I'd quite like to often I do this with clients, which is quite good, um to just arrive, to maybe a few deep breaths together, and then whoever's joining, I've lit a candle.
Okay.
Yeah. If we just want to take a few deep breaths together, and then just kind of let go anything from the day. And it's nighttime here. It's nighttime here, and then from your day so far, and then so we can just arrive into our life. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I find it's quite nice. I often do this at the beginning of my client session. So just closing eyes, quite nice if that feels comfortable. Deep breaths through your nose, feeling your feet on the ground and connecting into her, into Mother Earth. And as we call her here in New Zealand, Papa Tuanu. It's quite nice just to let go of the day, let anything that's kind of you know, anything that's there, and just arriving. It's quite lovely. Yeah, that feels a bit better, eh?
It feels wonderful. I got a little teary in a good
Yeah,
way.
me
Yeah.
too. Well, it was so big for you and I, bringing together the northern and the southern hemisphere, and then, you know, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
wow, amazing. And then how about we just arrive together, hey? And everyone that's here that's with us, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting how I'm on top of this video. I'm up here
And the
in
northern
the north
hemisphere.
in Finland, and you're down there in the south, and you have a lot of warm colors
Yeah,
there.
and
Yeah, and I
yeah,
have these blue cold colors here. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's so nice to so great to be here. Yay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for having me.
Your energy is very calming,
Oh,
and
good. I'm
yeah,
so
and
glad.
in a way very reassuring. I find this really pure and beautiful,
Good.
even though we haven't really even started yet, but
So
it's working for me. Yeah.
that's so good. Yeah, and I hoped, um, thank you. And I hope that anyone that's listening, um, through this, you know, through this live, that, you know, as I lit the candle, which is here, I won't move the camera and show you, but, you know, what I had in mind was that anyone that's listening, that's here, that's joined us, that, you know, has anyone dear to them that's on the other side, you know, that has passed away, that has passed on, that's really dear to them, that in some way, you know, as we speak and as we chat, that they may be able to feel their presence, or just feel in some way, feel loved by them, yeah, or all of them, you know, yeah, all of those people that are
Oh
dear to them.
yes. That's a great suggestion. Yeah. So you're a psychic medium. What does that mean to you, or how would you want to open a little what you do?
I always get nervous. It's so funny. I always get so nervous when people ask me that, and I still do. And I've been a psychic medium for 20 years, 20, I can, a long time. And so to me, it's, well, I guess I've already shown a little bit, actually. It's um, connecting my client with their deceased loved ones. Yeah. So that's what it is. And bringing through, well, it depends, because it's so unique, given, you know, whoever's with me, whoever my client is, you know, they can love, bringing through love. Often there's so many tears and healing, and then almost belief, and then disbelief, and then it's the most beautiful experience, actually. It's so beautiful. Yesterday I had a few clients, and just every time, I'm so, you know, my clients at the end of the session say thank you, and I'm like, no, thank you, because I get to, you know, I get to spend this most amazing time with you. You know, most of my clients are over the phone, or over video, um, and a few people, clients I see in my clinic, which is beautiful, face to face as well. But for me, it's like, no, thank you, because I get to be the medium and bring through beautiful messages of love. And you know, for my clients, I mean, I'm really lucky. I'm the lucky one, you know, to be part of that. Yeah, it's really, really something. And often what I love so much is, and animals come through too. I'm not actually an animal person, because I'm a little bit scared. of animals. I'd like not to be, but I was attacked by a dog anyway. That's another story. But so I've just always been a bit wary, you know. But animals, I've had clients and their horses have come through, and I've been like this, oh, and I'm like, and then
Really?
yes, many times, many times, cats, dogs, and they're like running, and then they are they are they are exactly the same the way I see them and I experience them and I feel them as they were in life. Because you know how animals and pets have their own character. It's really distinct, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the animals will come through in exactly that way, and my client will be on the other end of the phone or face to face or in the clinic, and they just know because I start what happens is that I start to mimic the behavior, and then sometimes, or if I'm with talking to someone that someone loves, or someone's just asking about animals here, but I don't want to be too distracted. I want to stay, but I just
Yeah, she's just saying that she was just about to send a question about animals.
yeah. And so often what happens is I start to mimic, and then they really know, wow, that's really my pet, my beloved pet, or it's my my husband that passed, or my father, or yeah. I remember being in India and staying with a beautiful family there, and they became my family. I visited them a few times, and they became my family. And I remember one time, mother didn't speak very much English, but I understood a bit of Hindi, and then we would just speak through love, we would just hang out, and she would teach me to cook. And then one day, it was cold there. I was there the last time in January, and her husband and my friend's father had passed away, quite a few years before. And it was really cold, and I'd gone and put my pajamas on, which was stripy. It sounds so funny. And then I'd wrapped a blanket around myself, and I'd scuffed out to be with her in the kitchen and help her cook. And I'd shuffled up along her to get in close to learn to cook with her, and we'd just hang out, and then she'd laugh, and then she'd show me. There was a bit of language, but and then she started to cry, and I went, and normally can feel, I can feel, I can feel all my guides tap me on the shoulder and go, just take a breath, like just take a breath, and something's happening here. It's all okay. Rest assured it's all okay. So I just took a breath, and then it almost makes me a bit teary. And then I'm doing a lot of talking, aren't I?
That's okay. That's okay. We're listening.
Yeah. And she took a breath. I took a breath, and then she just looked down and she cried into the onion, cutting onions and cutting up all the veggies. And then I yelled out to my friend and said, hey, because I could hear him in his room. And I said, what's happening? And then she spoke in Hindi to him, and then he went, and he came running out, because there were two brothers. I'm really good friends with them. And he came running out, and he goes, oh, well, what's just happened is that you stood right next to my mum, exactly as my dad did, and he would wear striped pajamas, and then the exact same blanket, he would wrap it around himself, and he would have his slippers on. And a couple of days before, she'd asked me, I'd been staying with them for about a week and a half, and just gotten to know her more, because I'd hung out with the brothers before in the previous trip. So we'd just hung out, and then I would cook, and she'd cook, and yeah, he said that, and I just went, wow. I had no idea at the time. Yeah, I had no idea at the time that was happening, but yeah, those sorts of things happen. But in saying that, I'm also really aware. I'm very, very aware of people's boundaries and my own boundary. So I don't you know, when I'm face to face with people, or if someone is tapping me on the shoulder and really wants to speak to that person that I'm speaking to, I will chat away to them, but I don't always bring them through because it's not appropriate, you know. Boundary,
Okay.
permission, and yeah, it's like, and also I want to be able to live, you know.
So you are also in a positive way then kind of like a gatekeeper.
Yes, and yes, I am, and also I have my gatekeepers too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was, and so that moment, it was appropriate, you know. It was appropriate and it was okay because already we had sat together the couple of nights before, and her son had translated, and it was beautiful, and there were many tears, and you know, love, and of course, and healing that came, you know, so much. So it, and interestingly, my guides are saying too that, you know, the gateway had already been opened, and that he, before I left, because I was leaving to come back to New Zealand, he almost wanted to just have a few more moments with her and just know how close that he is to her, because in her grief she was not able to feel him, which is so very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when animals come through to
Yeah.
your client through you,
Yeah.
do they want to express something, or why do they come through? Why do you sense the deceased pets or dear animals of your clients? Is there a reason why they show up?
Yeah, because their owner is grieving and missing them, and you know, a piece of their heart has, you know, much in the same way that you know, the grieving people who are grieving, you know, a piece of their heart and a piece of them, you know, leaves with that person.
Mm-hmm.
And same with animals, because, you know, people are as connected to their pets as they are to their friends and to their family. Yeah, so just answering your question,
Do you
answering your,
do pets sort of want to say that
yeah,
all
yeah,
is love and
yeah,
everything is fine and
yeah. So often pets will bound, like often dogs will run around, and I'll be trying, you know, just sitting with my client, whether on the phone or, you know, kanoi, kiti kanoi, face to face, and the pet or the horse will be in my back, you know, like I had the client recently, you know, horse was right here, or dog will be like bounding up on my lap, and I'm like, just hang on a minute, you know, or 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 grandmother or grandfather will come forward, and I'm like, just you know, like with my gatekeepers and guides, just give me a few minutes, give me a few minutes, I'll be right with you. And then they just bound through, and the love the love that I can feel and almost transmit, and you know, and then the it's not transmit, it's hard to explain because energy, you know, it's an energy.
yeah.
And then the their pets want to just come and say, I'm right here with you, and then
Yeah, yeah.
they'll show they'll um like they'll show something that's really unique, just like people do as well, you know, a color, or um, something that's really unique, or the way
Yeah.
they behave. They'll tell me what to say. I know this sounds really odd. This is going to sound really odd, but they tell me what to say. Just like when I had a client years ago, and his mother, I've had plenty of clients actually, that mother father passed away, and they speak a different language, and yet am able to speak English to my client,
Right.
and then even bring in the mannerisms of father or of mother. It's exactly the same with pets as well, just bringing in the mannerisms and then explaining what they're doing, and then all the love that comes through, and the healing, and they go, oh, you know, up until then, what their experience was, of course, was distance and disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's like, oh, okay, I can feel, I'm getting a sense of, and yeah, it's just this whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
explain it.
So for you, is it sort of like a combination of seeing, feeling,
Yes,
hearing, sensing, everything?
yes.
You just kind of know. When you know, you know.
When I know, yeah, I can see, it's faint. I can see them. But sometimes just as people are, as pets are, they're cheeky and they'll want to get in front of one another, and they really, so I can see them faintly, and and I can deeply sense. That's one of my strongest, that's always been my strongest ability, sensing. Yeah. And then I just know, and then they'll be nudging me, just say this and just say this and just say this, and I'm going, okay. And then like once years ago I had a client, and his father had passed away, and actually was yellow, loved yellow, and he'd been, this was when I was first starting out years and years and years ago, and he had favorite color was yellow and buried in yellow, and he kept showing me the color yellow all the time, and then in the end he's like, say yellow. I said, so what is the significance with yellow, with your father? And my client said, she burst into tears, and I always know, it's then that I know. And so I just sit with, it's beautiful, just sit to rest in those moments, because that's when the healing comes, the shift and the healing and the heart connection with with my client and their dearly departed. And
Yeah.
he said that was his favorite color. He
Do
wore,
you ever sense some kind of regret coming from the people who have already crossed over? Do you,
yes,
do
yeah,
they have a message of regret, or do they want to apologize ever,
yeah,
or make amends?
yeah. I had that exact experience with my grandmother, my darling grandmother. And she got a little bit judgmental of me, and just said a few things that I didn't like, and I didn't listen. And yeah, and then we went, we were close, and we sort of went in and out of being close. She would get a little bit judgy, and then I would kind of pull away a bit, which I didn't like doing. And I knew where she was coming from. She's old school, and so she was actually just trying to take care of me, to protect me and take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, my girlfriend, close friend in the States, who's also a medium, brought my grandmother through on the night that she passed, and it was the most. We are even closer now than we were, and this is common too for people as well. And I just use my own experience, but yeah, we're closer now than we were in when she was here. Yeah, and she just asked if I would forgive her for being so judgmental, and she's a bit tough on me, she said, a bit tough on me, which she was. And it was so beautiful, and it was a really unusual experience to go to her. It makes me feel a bit, it's beautiful. bit emotional, to go to her funeral. It actually was beautiful to go to her funeral in that way. Yeah. Knowing that it was a really different experience of a funeral.
Yeah.
I was really lucky, really lucky,
Yeah.
really lucky. So to answer about regrets, yeah. So so much love and healing and sorting things out, you know.
Yeah.
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 I had a client whose friend had passed, and she was not well. You know, she was not well, and she'd passed, but they hadn't worked out all the details of the memorial service, and so her friend kept coming to her between 2 and 4 in the morning every night, and buzzing in her ear. And then finally, after a few months, my client she knew about me, the community that I was living in, so she messaged me, and then she said, "Oh, I'm just fed up and I'm sure it's my friend." Well, sure enough, she came and saw me, and we brought her friend in, and it was her friend trying to get her attention to get the rest of the details down for the memorial service. And they both wanted to know, you know, they both wanted to know so that they could go ahead with it. And then it was great. It was so good. And they sorted out all sorts of other things and cried and laughed. And then, and then the buzzing stopped. So my friend and my client started to, started to get sleep again, which she was happy about.
Great. You are also a shaman. How does being a shaman relate to you being a psychic medium or connecting with animals and people on the other side?
Oh, so I don't like to call myself a shaman.
Okay.
Yeah, only because that's quite a title, you know. That's quite, yeah. I'll
Okay.
run away. I'll run
Yeah,
away.
I kind of sense
No,
what you mean.
you know what I mean? So that's why I always say, that I'm a psychic medium. I always have a problem with anyway calling myself a psychic medium, but I'm much more comfortable with that now. I'm 20 years down the track, but yeah, that's why I call myself psychic medium and a Maori shamanic healer. So that, yeah, I practice shamanic techniques. Yeah, but
okay. What does it mean to be a shamanic healer? From what I have understood, it relates closely to being connected to nature,
yeah,
to animals, and because I knew that this talk of ours was coming up, I started to think about the American Indians, how they were connected to the wind and the fire and the water, the sky, the birds and everything. And it was natural to them, but that could also be called like a shamanic tradition,
yeah,
which doesn't even need a term really.
yeah. It's indigenous. It is. Yeah, I mean, that's how we are as Māori as well. As that's Yeah, and that is such common practice in indigenous cultures. You know, you live by, listening to the wind and connecting with the birds, and yeah, I mean, that's how I live.
But isn't it in a way a hidden true nature of all of us if we just kind of like go more deep within and just stop and see what's out there? Because I noticed that I have become more sensitive to the ocean waves and the wind and the clouds, how the sky is painted, or why that bird keeps following me or showing
Yes,
up.
Yes.
So I feel like it's always been inside me, but I have just become a lot more sensitive to it and a lot more happy about it.
Yeah. 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 Because we are nature. We are
Yeah.
nature, and nature is us. So, you know, and for so long, we've been pulled far, far from that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
so far from that, and so far from ourselves. Hey, and so to be back, to be out in nature is an extension of ourselves.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and
So
that's
yeah.
yeah. No, go ahead.
So nature really is never separate from
No.
us.
Mm,
Nature, like you said beautifully, that we are nature.
yeah.
If we just kind of like, mm, I don't know, sometimes I feel like we almost need to, when the world gets so busy and our
Yeah.
mind gets so busy, that we sort of need to almost like become fine-tuned
Yeah.
to our energy and nature again, because we kind of lose connection to ourselves.
Yeah, because we are taught, you know, I mean, that's a bit of a generalization, but we are taught to be in our head and to be thinking and rationalizing, and you know, we you know, we're right out of our heart then, and out of our instinct, you know, our natural, you know, when we're speaking of animals before, and our natural animal instinct, and that instinct that we have when we sense and when we know what's right for us, eh? And when we know, um, you know, when we sense um, intuitive, you know, gut instincts. Yeah. So, and we're, you know, we're just so often taught to be logical and you know, and of course, of course, you know, we do have to use our brains, but so often it's just a matter of, and you know, and then exactly like you said, you know, about everything's sped up, and we're taught to speed up and to be doing, you know, 50 things at once, and tearing here and tearing there, and then we, you know, and then often trauma happens, and then we disassociate and we go out of our body, so we spend, and then we're going really fast, and so much of our time is spent out of our bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. and,
yeah.
and
I've had dogs all my adult life,
yeah,
and it's been interesting to notice that as I evolve, my dogs seem to have changed. The kind of dogs that I attract have changed. And I think it's been sort of funny to notice that the dog that I have now is very similar to what I am now. And I didn't sort of choose her. She just showed up and chose me.
yeah,
And then when I think about the dogs that I've had over the years, they were sort of representing more the type of person I was at that time.
yeah,
And my
yeah,
dog, we have a really we have a lot of knowing
yeah.
between the two of us. Yeah, and the same sense of humor and
And I bet there's so much that happens telepathically with both
yes,
of you,
oh
A- and
yes,
and your dog will know when something's up and then come in closer, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's exactly my experience with clients whose pets come in, you know, that they know, and they come in really close when you know, in spirit. It's exactly the same, and that's the thing, it's exactly the same as here. Hang on, let me explain it. It's exactly the same in spirit, you know, when our deceased loved ones are in spirit and our pets are in spirit. It's exactly the same experience, you know, being able to feel them closely and the healing. But I love that what you said. I love that what you said about your dog. And
yeah,
then you know, and then, yeah, so
We
gorgeous.
kind of, I guess I could also say that the dog that I have always had, whatever dog it has been at a certain time, that dog has been on the same frequency where I
Yeah,
have been going.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
They
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I just was agreeing. Absolutely, they know so much.
Yeah. But about your training, a few years back, I noticed online that you were in this some sort of a training, and there was some kind of an ultimate test
Yeah, yeah.
out
It's
in nature. Could you say something about the training that you went through?
yeah. Thanks. Um, So I did shamanic training for 2 years, which was really rigorous, and I got hauled across the coals a lot, and had to really face myself. And the finale was a vision quest. Um, so I had to sit, and interestingly, having been on that vision quest, I experienced a lot of the same fear. I experienced a lot of the same experience as being in isolation, but that I'll tell you about that next. So at the end of 2 years, we had to. The elders sat. So we went out into the woods, into the um, into the native bush, and um, there were a group of us, and I had to choose somewhere to sit for 18 hours. Um, and two elders sat in a house far away, and then I had to sit and create what we call, in shamanic terms, a medicine wheel.
Ah,
And
medicine wheel.
yeah, so I had to create a medicine wheel and then sit in it for 18 hours, and I had
Could
no
you
food.
could you leave that medicine wheel
No,
at all?
no, 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 no. So, and you know what? It's really funny. What I've realized about isolation is that I need new glasses. So I keep kind of going like this because
Okay.
I need new
Yeah.
frames in my glasses. It's so funny. It's not
Yeah.
funny, but so yeah, I was not allowed to leave the medicine wheel. I had to sit in there. It was tiny. It was only sort of just not even arm's length, and then out in front of me. It was really small. And then one area I had to sit there for 18 hours, and no food, only
Could
the
you see
clothes.
other people?
No, on my own in the woods, in the bush. So we call it in New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah, and no food, and I had a tiny bit of water, tiny, but we were meant to have no water as well. But I just took a little bit, and yeah, and so I said karakia prayer, and then went into the circle and sat there for 18 hours, and it was November, early November, so that's end of spring coming in, but not really. That night was clear and really freezing. It got freezing, and I just had to sit and sit. So interestingly, I um, noticed myself having to revisit this in isolation, because it was the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've done, to sit there in my own thoughts. And then we had to bring everything that we'd learnt for 2 years to our ability to be able to just sit and sit and sit. And we weren't allowed to lie down and go to sleep because every time I did, I'd get a tap on the shoulder, by my guides, and sit up again, sit up again. And I had to face a lot of anger came up. And at 2 in the morning, I got really cold, and I dressed, I dressed for it, but it got really cold. It got colder than I expected because of my fear. I got really cold when I was fearful. So I got angry, and I yelled and yelled, and I had my medicine drum my beautiful medicine drum. Oh, it's got my lamp on it, but I had my medicine drum. That was the only thing I was allowed. So I played my medicine drum and I cried and sang and then yelled, and yeah, it was so good. And yeah, and then I yelled at the sky and yelled at everyone that had made me mad in my life, that had abandoned me, and I had to really face all my abandonment and people that I'd let down. And yeah, it was a long night. And then for me, in the end, it was where I always go back to, is to my ancestors, to my tupuna, we call them in Māori, to my ancestors and to my loved ones on the other side. I was just yelling, support me, you know, because there were moments there I thought I was going to die, but I wasn't going to die. I actually did, because I did think my feet were going to freeze off and die, you know. I just had moments of so much fear. You know, it was yeah, so, and in the end, it was the connecting with with my ancestors and my tupuna and my loved ones. And that was where that's always been my go-to as a child, when I first knew that I had these abilities, because I had to keep it quiet. Had to keep it quiet for years and years and years, you know, what I could see and what I can sense. And then, in fact, I've got a painting that I did of the stars that night. It was the stars that I connected into, and they were who I connected to, and they gave me light and hope. And yeah, it's even feels quite amazing just speaking about that. Again, I don't share that with many people. Yeah.
And it's really amazing hearing it. I'm very, very touched by that.
So the sun did come up, and my immediate thing was to bolt out of the circle, out of my circle, out of my medicine wheel, and run and I had to wait and wait until I could hear the drum. And if I couldn't hear the drum, I had to still wait, and either, if I couldn't hear it, sense it, and then know when it was time to yeah, it was time to pack up slowly and then finish. So yeah, I had to dig really deep that night, really, really deep. And my first friend that I saw when I came out, well, like, we sat in circle after that, and then you know, spoke about our experiences. But when I got home, my first friend that I saw, she said, wow, 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 like so much had gone. Yeah, a lot of probably a lot, and excuse me, a lot of anger and a lot of good stuff as well, you know, had come. Yeah, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of rage, a lot of, you know, to really face myself, and a lot of goodness. And that you know, because I came to know myself even more. Yeah.
Was that a part of you surrendering to your path as a psychic medium?
I had before that a couple of times. I had, but no, much more that night. Much more. Yeah, I went, okay. That was really where I stood, where I stepped into my shamanic, my my shamanic healing, at, you know, bringing through the shamanic healing. Yeah, that was, yeah. And also, I've sort of always dived a bit from being psychic medium, and yeah, so I did surrender. Yeah, I still go in and out, but less and less so, because I just get the tap on the shoulder, you know, come on, come on. Yeah, just sometimes it's quite overwhelming, but actually I can never get away from it, because it's who I am, and you know, and who I am and how I am. But sometimes I think that I can run away from it, you know.
I noticed that.
Fine. It's so funny to explain. I hope I'm explaining it well.
You totally are. And your energy is affecting me really strongly. I notice that my energy is really, I feel this vibration in my body, and it's like a strong, clear energy that I kind of, when I listen to you, there's something about you that I kind of like. I don't find the right words now, but I kind of like something about me or my being kind of swims into you, because
Good,
what you are saying or how you are just opens me up.
good,
And I
good.
notice that I'm like resting here, and I'm sort of like just resting in front of some truths that have always been there and will always be there. I don't know a better way of explaining what I feel when I listen to you.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. I just hoped by having this, having this corridor, this conversation, that, that whoever's listening, you know, may recognize themselves or understand themselves more, or any of, maybe they've had the same experiences, or, and go, oh, is that what that is? Or understand. Because for so long I had, I hid who I was and had to hide through, who I was, being a psychic medium. And as I said, I've, run from it, tried to run from it a lot. And then it's like, no, if someone else can see themselves in me or understand themselves in my sharing, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not, it's not normal. It's not this walk,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I noticed that here in Finland, working as a mental coach, I have struggled somewhat with how much I can show of my spiritual side, because I respect everyone's religion or world view, or whether they are believing in an existence of a God or not. And but lately I have kind of become more tired of holding back at all. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to make people believe whatever I believe or whatever is true to me, but I love using Instagram Live now as a way of giving a voice to people
Yeah.
like you, or just just bringing on people who I find interesting in their wisdom or spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And I mean, yeah, it's so much, to be our true selves, you know, like you say, and sense it, and showing more of yourself. It's just, yeah, I guess it's a slow process, just step by
Yeah.
step. Yeah.
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 And like earlier we were talking about being true to yourself and going within, and at the same time coping with the outer world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it does take courage to be yourself in this busy world. And it also, I think for me, what I'm really interested in and what I want to learn more is the art of letting go and surrendering, and just trusting that whatever I lose or whatever is taken away from me, that needs to happen. And
Yeah. Yeah.
then whatever is given to me when I surrender, then that is all for the best. even though, like you've said today, it can be a really painful transition.
Yeah, absolutely. And we aren't we all getting such a lesson in that at the moment with COVID-19? You know, we, you know, with the having to having to dig deep and you know, on some levels surrender and let go, because we don't really know sort of what next. And yeah, we're all in our own ways having a bit of a lesson in that, eh? You know,
Yeah.
it's quite cool, and it's quite confronting, and then it's also amazing. So it's like, okay, how, you know, how is this new world going to be? And then I keep thinking, how is my new world going to be? I guess going full circle, you know, back to the beginning of the of our of our session. How am I going to create my new world?
Yes,
Because
yes.
I noticed in the last couple of days, you know, where we were able to walk out and about in nature, or out and about, sort of in our vicinity when we were in lockdown 4, which was, and I've just coming into level 2, that everything's just sped up again. And because I'm sensitive to that, I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't want to speed up again. I don't want to. And there's resistance there. And it's like, okay, I've got to come back into what's my own truth here? What's my own way?
Yeah.
And we're all going, aren't we, through some version of that, finding a
Yeah.
new way for ourselves.
But the more we are aware and conscious of the fact that we can, to a large degree, create our own way,
Ah,
the better we can do it.
yeah. Yeah, and it's so, I think, yeah, not I think, I know it's so important. It's so
Mhm.
important, so important. And to do, um, because as we said, you know, when we speed back up again, then, you know, we get back into that, you know, going really fast and then out of our bodies a lot, with all the demands and social media and you know, everyday life. And it's like dropping back into, you know, into that slow pace, and even being able to do that just here now where we sit. And yeah, I have to practice this all the time, because otherwise I just speed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to read out loud a listener's comment. A bit hesitant of sharing this, but when you started talking the first 30 minutes, I just cried. I know that feeling, me, yeah. It would not stop. Only when you told about the 18-hour experience, it stopped. I have no idea what happened. Lisa Jane, this is how you move people and move energy and connect people with what is real and true and what needs to happen.
Beautiful,
It
beautiful. And
is.
that's so beautiful. And I want you to know, um, for the person that you just read out their message, that I want you to know that before, as I said, I lit a candle and have held space, you know, for everyone, and also in the future too, if anyone's watching this and they listen and then they're moved or something shifts, that now, right now, that I am holding space with my guides and my ancestors, and with you too, Minna. Of course, we both are holding space for healing, and yeah, it's really important. It's really important that you know, being held, being deeply held and received and loved and understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yes. I know.
beautiful.
Before I was going, oh, where's my tissues? Where's my... And that's why a couple of times I lost my train of thought a little bit, because I was going, oh, I need to. My tears were right there, you know, tears were right there, which I shouldn't really.
Yeah. You're back. You froze just for a second, but you are back, aren't you? Yes, you're there.
Sorry, yeah,
I think we only have about 2 or 3 minutes left. Is there something that you want to say?
yeah, yeah. Okay, in those quiet moments, you know, if there is someone dear to you that has passed on, that's really dear to you, or a pet, you know, just maybe when you're out walking, or maybe when you're sitting, maybe when you're in the bath. My guides are saying it might be in the bath, it might be sitting having a cup of tea, just, you know, just drop into and feel, in some way, feel their presence and feel their love. And I know that's not easy too, when there's trauma there and grief, but in some way to just be able to feel their beautiful, loving presence. And oh yeah, and they'll be giving you giving you a nuzzle in the neck, or rubbing, you know, or a tap, a gentle tap on the shoulder, or a loving, or you may even feel the shuffling alongside you, even smell, you know, oh, that smells like my grandmother, or oh, that's my granddad, he used to smoke, you know, or yeah, or my pet around my calves, you know, shuffling up alongside me. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that we can do this again someday.
Me too. Me too. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone that came along and watched as well. I really appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank
And,
you.
and we appreciate you. Thank you, and talk to you
Okay.
soon.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.